Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Renae. I'm a teaching associate professor at UNT. I teach art history. Art history, guys. And this is Sheila Dalgliesh. What is your position title, Sheila?
Oh, at the museum? Operations, but I'll go into programming.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
So Sheila's got this
Where's the museum?
The Children's Museum. The Children's Museum, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to be careful. I've noticed that you can't say museum.
Yeah, right.
Because then I'm like, well,
And is it called the Exploration Center? Or something?
no, they've changed it. They're Grandparents Children's Museum. That's the new title.
Nicole,
Oh,
could you
exciting.
speak louder?
Oh, yeah, sure. Of course. Thank you, Bonnie. Of course. Yes. Well, welcome, everybody. We're here to talk with Sheila and learn about her art. And so, Sheila, would you mind starting us off by sharing a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, we've already kind of said, in September, I started working for the Grandparents Children's Museum. And so that has been kind of a new adventure. As far as like being an artist, for me, like everything I do is kind of art. Whether it's my work, being the nonprofit, working with the kids, or being out in the wilderness and painting, it all kind of just weaves together. And that's just kind of, it's weird to talk about being an artist because, to me it's like breathing,
with yours.
and you don't really think about breathing or, those things, so it's just part of my fabric. And
Because you can sing.
yeah.
So it kind of shapes your worldview, right?
Yeah, it's weird because I don't remember not being an artist. I don't remember, like, I always drew, I always colored, I always was painting and making things and making things look nice, whether it's my room or the bathroom or the front lawn, the flowers, that's just how it is. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful, Sheila. And, so you have been active as an artist, like you said, your entire life, and you have produced artwork in many different media, and many different subject matter, and many different environments. And can you tell us your most memorable experience as an artist?
Oh. Jeepers, I have to pick one.
No, pick a few.
Pick a few. That's a tough one. It's hard. I'm going to start with the first one that popped in my head, which is working with the kids. And actually, the first time I actually shared my work, which this led to it, a friend of mine, because I always have painted and always been doing things, but it was my private thing. It was for me. And growing up in rural North Dakota, I didn't know that like you could share it, or I didn't want to. It wasn't maybe a safe place to share it. Because what's that? Why are you wasting your time doing that kind of thing? Attitude. But the first time Adam Camp heard that I painted, and he came over to my house and stole some of my paintings and put them in a show. And it was kind of hideous. Yeah, you guys are laughing because you know. So that was kind of hideous and awful at the time, but it kind of led me down a path of like peeking out and showing. And then he made me come help him at a camp. And I said, I don't like to do that. I don't like children. And by the end of the week, I was like, I really hate it when he's right. How am I going to tell him that this is awesome and I want to do this forever? And
Where
so
in rural North Dakota did you grow up?
I grew up in Sarles, in elementary school, and then we moved to Candu and then Devils Lake, so a few different places. Just very conservative, which is weird because I feel like all of the people in my family are creative in their own way. The women make quilts and handcrafts. And even the men, like, they didn't just paint the shed, they painted it garish colors because they thought it was fun. And it's like, well, that's a way to go. I guess no one will be able to miss our farmstead. Just tell them to look for the hideously colored fence. So first, I don't even remember the question now, but the first experience was kind of being an artist was that first show. And then that led to the kids and making murals with the kids and painting with the kids, and that has been profound and changed my whole life, changed my direction. And lately, just being outside, that has been the connection between working with the being outside working and the landscape, and that is, where I feel the most at home. And I feel disconnected because I have this fence post I'm working on and I can't get back to it. I've got to finish it. Did I answer that question? I don't know if I did. Did I? Okay. I was a thinker, Nicole.
From what you share, it sounds like your art making was a very private and personal experience, and then you were brought into art making as a communal experience through your work with children.
Yep.
And so it started with the camp and with Artwise, and then do you feel like your work is still communal, or have you gone maybe
It's
more
both, because when the school district cut the program and I worked at the hospital for those 2 years overnights, that's kind of when I started making some of this work. And I think I shared to you the night of the voting that I felt kind of nervous because I felt like everyone was going through my diary, and this is documentation of of my life. And that's kind of how paintings are, is I look at that and I think about music I was listening to, what I was feeling, what was going on, and it really is like a diary. And I kind of wonder if, no, I know, I don't wonder anymore, especially after this show, people can see that and see the things. So that also was horrifying and cool, but it puts you in a vulnerable spot. But I'm lucky we live in a community, but that's okay. Okay.
Well, I'm glad that you are sharing your work,
Yeah.
and really also sharing your thoughts about the work as well. And with this show, is the work arranged? You mentioned it's like a diary. Is it arranged chronologically, or is there a thematic focus to it, or is
No, I just kind of picked out what what told me it needed to be in the show. That's literally how I do everything. A little voice says, "Oh, let's do that. Let's try that."
Sure.
And it's all gut.
Yeah,
And
sure.
spirit kind of tells you.
Sure, like more intuitive. And
Yeah, very intuitive, very. Sometimes I have plans, but there's plans and then there's what happens. And you can't be. I don't like rigidness, which is really weird because that's kind of how I am. I'm a to-do list, check it off, do the thing, but not in my artwork. Really.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. It's that place to express, yourself and just go, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's personal, it's spiritual, it's just all of those things. It's for me, and if I don't do it, I feel sick, not well, like just off. So, yeah.
I can understand
And
that.
it's kind of the same way too with like if I don't get in with the kids enough,
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I'm a little cranky, and I'm like, oh, this is why. Play with the little children.
Yes,
Okay,
right?
they make me a better person.
It sounds like the new opportunity that you have to play
Yeah.
for both of those things.
Yep.
To really make your art and be with children and show your and
Yeah.
have that more internal.
Yeah, and they're together, but they're separate, and it's kind of nice because I can go to work and plan the things that I want to do, and then do the things I want to do, and then I can go home and do the things I want to do for my creativity and my, I don't know. And I sleep really well at night lately. Really well.
That's great.
I'm tired.
Oh,
In a good way, though. You know how when you've done something and it's like, oh, that was the best day ever?
yes.
Yeah. 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 So.
Yeah.
What is the progress of the Children's Museum, and what are you exactly doing there?
Well, right now, the last few months, it has been, I'm not going to call it boring work. Yeah, I'm going to call it boring work. It's a lot of data entry, just whatever needs to be done, kind of getting things, an office set up. And finally, I'm getting to the point where where I'm planning events, community engagement, and that's my jam. That's where
Does the Children's Museum even have a location?
we do have we're gonna break ground in 2025. That's the tentative plan. We just, it's $20 more million. That's our goal this year. So yeah. There's a whole team. I just do my work.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. But, well,
I just try to.
yeah,
I'm just gonna try to have good community engagement, and
Yeah.
they can
yeah.
take the reins from that. So
Sure.
yeah.
Tell them about our partnership if you don't mind.
Oh yeah. All right. Because it was easy. There's 2 events coming up with Children's Museum and Artwise that week in March, is it the 12th, 13th, and 14th?
Yes.
I think? There's
Yes.
no school, and we're gonna have a big event with also with an organization called Renae, and Jonathan is bringing his stuff, and we're gonna have activities for kids. That's gonna be free. It's gonna be wonderful. And then also we're coming to the art show. That's the other one.
Yeah.
It's a good thing
3. There's 3 then. Summertime.
Oh, see, I have a list on my whiteboard in my office.
That's a big one.
And they're all.
Yeah.
The summer. We're gonna also do the summer.
Lunch program.
Thank you, Rita. I
St.
could not think of the word lunch.
Joseph's summer lunch program.
The summer lunch program, and
Yeah.
Rita's working on
Yeah.
kind of doing that, and I'm gonna show up at all the different locations and do demos and hand out things. So that's going to be a great partnership. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting because you have a captive audience there.
I know.
And the summer lunch program.
And an audience of the economic, socio
Yeah.
that we want, the
That's
class
right.
that we want. Yeah.
Rita
We
sent
haven't-
me an email because I kind of wanted to tell the board
Yeah.
how many families we're going to reach or how many
Yeah.
people. And last year in 8 weeks they served 11,400 lunches, and I was like, yes.
Wow.
In 8 weeks.
In 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
And
I'm not surprised.
So
Yeah.
so that is our
Put
job.
that at the top so everyone can see that. That's really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And that's for St. Joseph.
St. Joseph's, St. Joseph's
Yeah.
is doing that,
Yeah.
which is,
So
I'm still really proud of that we have that partnership.
Yes.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
terrific.
You know?
And when my children were young, that was our summertime.
Yeah.
It was every day going on to the parks. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something we'll take advantage of.
Yeah.
Well, that's very exciting. You'll be doing that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And then next month, this isn't really the Children's Museum partner, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the make and take at Artwise and St. Joseph in the library, and then there's going to be some art due.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the artist for that.
Yeah.
So I should maybe do that this weekend, make sure I finish that. Nothing like the last minute.
Wonderful. But it sounds like you're really capitalizing on the relationships and the partnerships.
Yeah.
That is so important.
Yeah, because that's we're also going to work with the library and the Dakota Science Center and the park district. And it's really fun. I feel like I get to work with all my friends.
Yeah, right?
All my friends are getting together. We're just getting cool things for Grand Forks. So,
Yes, of course.
yeah, it's exciting. So it's exciting, Nicole.
Yeah, right? I'm excited for you. On the other question.
Yeah. It's,
When I think about how your artwork interacts with your commitment to working with the community, and then I see the artwork here that's focused on the landscapes and your personal reflection, the relationship with the landscape. It seems like you've got this really lively and rich community presence and also internal dialogue.
Yeah, 'cause that's my escape. Like going out in the quiet.
Do you usually paint outside?
Yeah, I haven't lately, but usually I have my little satchel of stuff. And,
So how do you do that? Do you take your works and do you painting plein air, or are you painting taking sketches and going back to your studio?
a little of both. Ideally, I do like to go out and paint the whole day.
Yeah.
That's what I want to spend my off time. But honestly, lately it's been I mean, especially with those weeks where it was so wet and gross, and
Yeah.
That's right.
I didn't want to be outside in that wet. I mean, it was kind of fun, but not really.
Sure.
I mean, but so then it was just sketching and then going back.
Sure.
And a lot of, like this morning when I was out, I'm working on this fence post on this painting, and I have been looking at different weeds that need to go in there. And so that's what I was looking at this morning in sketching, was the different weeds that are peeking out of the mud and the snow, and how do they look naturally. And I need something different because I'm really obsessed with the grass, and I need something more interesting with more textures. So that's what I worked on this morning.
You know, I was speaking with someone recently, and she was explaining how she was interested in invisible plants, and not plants that you couldn't see, but plants that are so ubiquitous you don't see. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that's what kind of what you're doing here a little bit, is highlighting those plant forms.
It's the plants and the things that, you know, maybe people think are ugly or they don't notice, or like you said, invisible. That's what I like. Like this week, the one thing I worked on this Thursday and Friday is I'm almost late for work almost every single day because of the train downtown. And it doesn't matter how early I leave or what time. Like, are you waiting for me to come? I just can't, I have to go up and over Demers.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, but that's just gonna have to be my new routine. But I'm working on the ugly train because it is my arch nemesis. And it's weird because I've started going up and over Demers, and then on the way home, stupid train. So I sit in the parking lot and wait for the train to go by, and I was just like, my arch nemesis is now switched to the afternoon.
That's right.
Okay.
They know.
Like, maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. So that's gonna be, I think the new painting is, you know, eternally late, and it's gonna be the train. It's gonna be the train. Well, you know how much I hate being late.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I left. The other day, I was like, oh, I can go. And act out. I had to wait for 15 more minutes, and I'm
I
like,
hate that so much.
Stopping.
Yeah.
stopping and backing up, and I'm just like,
Take a couple more photos. I know she wants quite a few.
the universe is telling me to sit here and draw this and not be mad. But I don't know if it works or not, but.
That's really amazing that you're taking that as an opportunity to make an artistic expression, like funneling those emotions into
There you
that
go.
of your painting, right?
Walk around angry. So,
And Terry.
yeah.
You know, one thing I've seen you do here in this show is explore different media. So we have paintings here, and you've been starting to work with the chalk, the chalk pencil.
It's both, the hard and soft, both of them. So I usually start out with the soft and make a, you know, kind of a mess, and then go over it. And sometimes
You
I just
usually
paint.
draw in pencil first and then the chalk? No.
No, usually, well, sometimes, depends. There's no rules. It's whatever it tells me it means. But a lot of times I start with the chalk, and I have, you know, like a crazy person come out of the woods with no charcoal all over me, and you know.
It's an interesting, way to see how much you touch your face.
I know.
When you're like covered in chalk. And
Too true.
I finished a Zoom meeting the other day, and I had pen marks here. I must have been going like this with my pen during it, because I had marks all the way across my forehead. And I was like, it'd been nice if somebody would have told me I was drawing on myself during the meeting.
They're all watching you draw on
Yeah,
yourself.
they're just watching me, like, she's drawing on her face. Well, yeah, I had marks all over my face.
The kids must
She's an
love that.
artist, right?
Yeah, they probably do. I was thinking of the smelly markers. And
I know.
I got home from work one day and I was like, I have a marker on my nose. How long have I been walking around with marker on my nose? I was like, grocery store, the bank, ran errands. No one said, do you know you've purple marker on your nose?
You were smelling a marker.
Smell good.
Yeah, right?
Is there an age group of kids you like best to work with?
The little ones. Yeah. I like kindergarten and first grade are kind of my favorite, but I like ages. But those are my personal favorites, like kindergarten, first grade, but preschool too. I like the one be little and everything's exciting. Because that's kind of my attitude too. Everything's exciting and fun, and they aren't jaded by the world yet.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to me like what you've done in this show is really help us see the world in new ways. You know, like everything's exciting and fun. Like you see that, for example, in this work with December, it's showing a scene that has a very kind of romantic kind of mood.
Yeah, and I bet the guys that were clearing this that night, I bet they didn't think it was romantic or sweet or anything, and I was like, so pretty and nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. That is interesting. I never thought about that because I don't really think about the audience. Because
you don't think about
who's going to see it or the audience or anything, because it's not for them.
I think that painting up there is my favorite of any that I've ever seen of yours.
Yeah.
What inspired the colors there?
That's kind of how it looked. Some of the bright oranges, those are artificial lights. Because it's been a while since I painted that. I spent a lot of time in Lincoln Park and along the river, and it's kind of interesting because you have the natural light, but then you also have the light of the city bouncing off the snow and different things, and it kind of makes for interesting shadows and light. And like the yellow coming up too. I mean, it could be the sunlight or it could be just the glow of craftworks. I kind of like that ambient. And you stand there sometimes and you have to work out which one it is. And it's interesting too with the sound. This morning I was listening to something and trying to figure out what the sound was. And it just had to be a truck from somewhere, but the way it was bouncing off the landscape in the river, it was just interesting. And the light does that kind of too. It's interesting how the shadows play, and especially in Lincoln Park.
Well, I think the other thing about that one is that seems more abstract than most of your regular. You're so precise and so many of these other things.
Yeah, and that one was painted really fast. And I don't work big a lot. And that one, there was a few sketches, and I just came home and before I forgot.
Well, it worked.
It did. And I was going to go back and add details to it, but I was like, it's done. That one's done.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned this. So one of the things you mentioned was that the works that you're showing here are really for you. And so one of the important things that had happened in art in the last maybe 40 years or so was a mindset change in terms of like how the viewer interacts with the artwork and how the artist interacts with the artwork. So you make these works and they're for you, but when you put them in a public space, then people bring their own stories, right, and make their own narratives, and it gives its own life, a new life, right? So how do you feel about that?
It used to bug me because I used to make really dark, just Payne's gray winter landscapes, and a lot of them were at night because I was driving back and forth between Devil's Lake, and so at night it's just black, and everyone thought they were the ocean, and I was like, sure, cool, and that bugged me, and now I'm just like, all right, if you see the ocean, it's like, because we do bring our experiences to the artwork, so and I don't know, it's interesting. I like hearing the stories now, where back then I was like, whatever, I'm not getting it across, but I was. It was still kind of the loneliness and the emptiness of it. I mean, the ocean, a big snowfield, it's kind of the same, so.
It's very interesting, they're both water.
Yeah, they are both water. I just don't like water, so I think that might have been the thing too. It's like let's have the snow.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Like, let's have the snow.
Okay, yeah.
it is interesting when people tell me things they see or things it reminds them of. I like that and I enjoy it. And it's interesting how people interact with things and what they see.
Sure.
Because, I mean, when I go to a museum or a show or looking at work, I see things so much different than maybe the artist does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works out. But it's kind of fun. Everyone sees what they need. And that's isn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's kind of the point, so.
Carrie.
Uh-oh.
So, I've never, I know you talked, a lot about your art, kind of some of it is from your memories from your childhood.
Yeah, a lot of it, especially this show, there's a lot of where I grew up in this one.
And I was just kind of, correlating it to, because you said you like the little kids, and they're always so excited, and you see things through, a different light. And it's interesting that you're seeing always, your art is still capturing that childlike wonder.
Yeah.
Which I think is so amazing, that you tend to lose as an adult.
It goes into a lot of childhood too, with, I've spent more time back home, just because of personal things going on in my family. And I don't see where I grew up the same. I guess that just comes with age. So I'm more mature about the family situation and being okay with being from small town and have fallen in love with it again also. So I'm seeing it that is interesting, Carrie, because I am seeing it again for the first time and it's coming across. So you just proved that. Thanks. Now I feel validated, but it is coming home, and there is a sense of wonder, this is a gas pump that is next to where my uncle lives. It's not on his property, but it's something I grew up seeing, and everyone from Sarles knows that gas pump, and I've been talking about drawing it for years, and I finally worked on a couple pieces, and then this piece over here is from Sarles too, and it's actually the fence that is around the cemetery, and I'm not going to tell you what we were doing that day. We were being kind of naughty and having fun.
So do you feel nostalgic about your, when you go back over there and
Maybe.
look at the places?
It's not really nostalgic because I don't have that I didn't enjoy growing up. I mean, it was fun and it was great. There was grand adventures, but it was just also a lot of feeling like an outsider and I don't belong. And I was the creepy weird art kid because everyone was playing sports and I was like, ugh, so boring. But it's more nostalgic for something that I don't know. There is a little nostalgia, but it's more also I'm okay. It's more of a coming home to myself, and I don't care that I'm the art freak when I go back there, and I don't know. Yeah, it's not really nostalgia, but there is kind of something very adjacent to it.
I'm just, when you say thinking about nostalgia as a positive thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm just thinking that is nostalgia always positive, or can it be also these negative feelings about past?
Yeah, it's more coming to grips with the past and who I am. So yeah, I mean it is.
I don't know what is kind of definition of nostalgia. Is it?
The name of this painting, which I can't remember the word now off the top of my head, but I named it that because it meant being homesick for a home that never was.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, yeah, that sums it all up.
And then there's this kind of like when I see in my life that when I go back to my old
Yep.
past, everything has changed.
Yeah.
So that you can't kind of see that same environment or same landscape as before because it's lost, it's not there
It's not.
anymore.
It's just not there. You can't. It's just not there anymore. And also to the landscape, I feel that way about the landscape because even from day to day, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So it's like very fleeting and momentary. Carrie, you were because I know you've worked in Candu. That's where I went to elementary school, and I did a workshop or something. I had to go to the school, and it seems, and as a kid, it was so scary and big and dark and just. I must have been a chicken as a kid, like scared of everything or something. I don't know. Maybe kids are just that way. But going as an adult and walking through there was this hallway that always scared me that went from the elementary school to the high school. And I liked to go to the library, and the lights were always off in the morning when I had to go, so I had to walk through this dark hallway, and I don't like the dark day. And I walked as an adult, and I was just like, what kind of kid were you that you were scared of this? It is not big, it is not scary, it's very small, actually. And I still giggle about it, because even the pool is not, it was so big as a kid, and as an adult, I'm like, you thought this was a big pool? I mean, it's nice, but it's not big. And it's not as deep as I remember. Okay. So, yeah, it's funny seeing things and going back and revisiting.
Sharing these thoughts, Sheila, it occurs to me that your landscapes are, of course, a reflection on yourself, but they're almost a metaphor for your becoming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're becoming yourself. And really, embracing yourself.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
identity. And
Yep. It's like today, because I don't like to talk about myself and I don't like to talk about my art, but it's not that. It's like, it is what it is. And, I'm more at home with who I am. Again, maybe that comes with age.
Unfortunately,
But,
it is.
but it's just, and I wouldn't be the person I am without all of the experiences, the good and the bad, and so it is.
kind of like the landscape that's continually changing. You yourself are continually changing.
I will not be the same person tomorrow because something will have happened and it will change my perspective on it.
I was having this conversation with somebody recently about my memories of my childhood. And what I find is I don't specifically remember details of happy times. I specifically remember details of when I was embarrassed. Maybe I beat my pants in public.
Yeah.
Maybe you wore your Halloween mask through the whole upside down and no one told you and they all laughed at you.
That's my point. Those are the ones that seem to stick with us through life, as opposed to the ones where we were maybe happier and.
And I think too, revisiting it, just remember.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good childhood. I played outside, I ran, I painted the clubhouse, I ruined my clothes that my mom just bought me.
Yeah.
They were pink corduroys. Who wanted to wear that anyway? House is not me, but my mom sure thought it was pretty. And I jumped on the hay bales, I ran, and I did have a good childhood. And it also was coming back to that because you don't remember, you just remember, they laughed at you, and you got in trouble for getting army green paint all over your dress clothes. It's okay.
Kind of like remembering emotions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to something that Bonnie had observed, and that is that the word here seems really kind of abstract, right? And there are some words over here that are more abstract as well, like this vertical piece on the post here, but some, as Bonnie observed, are really detailed and precise. And it occurred to me that might be in part because of the medium that you're using.
Yeah, that's why I'm in love with the charcoal, and I really like the hard charcoal at the end. marks that sometimes get really fussy painting. Yeah.
I feel like when I'm seeing your work from this early work to more recent work like this, like if you think about breaking the work down into the visual elements, right? So this work is about shape, you know, and lots of shape and color and such, whereas here you're focusing more on line and
The marks.
the
Like the
marks,
little-
exactly, and you're kind of experimenting with that, I feel like. And do you feel like you're still doing that? Or
Oh,
just
yeah.
that?
Yeah, always the marks and different, because it's almost meditative too, where sometimes when you're painting and trying to get all those little marks, for me, I don't know, I get very, and that's not okay, where the charcoal, I'm more just like, it's fun,
Yes.
and yeah.
What dictates size? Is it the
Oh,
sellability?
it's what fits in my I can drag outside most of the time. Yeah,
Because I was going to say these are all
because
exceptionally small.
a lot of like this one is from Dalgliesh, and I actually painted that with like water. Doesn't smell though, so. But no, I just had my sketchbook or paper or whatever shoved in my art bag, and it's a lot. I don't very often paint large, especially the winter stuff, because it's like I'm on my snowshoes most winters, not this winter, and you know it's whatever fits in there, and I can carry with me.
So speaking of size though, like you do work small, but do you think that also has, like, I feel like it can also relate to, like, when you see a small piece, you have to go into it. It's a much more intimate feeling, right? And you're talking about these moments that also are very intimate. I
don't know. I mean, it's like Adam every once in a while, but he drug that over to my house because they won't fit in my car. And I don't know, I enjoyed it, but I like the smaller work better. And also time is a thing too, where larger pieces take longer, at least for me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, every once in a while I work bigger and I just think, I was okay for that day. But I'd rather have, my little bag of canvases and paper and whatever I shoved in there. I have to clean it out when I get home. It's got a bunch of weeds in there that I found this morning. I can't forget, they get moldy. Take them out. And you have to buy new chalks and paint.
Now you've mentioned a few people that you have, really worked with as an artist. So Adam, for example, and some of the people that you're working with now. Who would you say is an influence for you on your artwork?
I don't want to embarrass her because she's sitting here and I don't know if she knows, but Drew is one of them. The first time I ever saw, and I don't know if I've ever really talked to you about this, but the first time I ever saw Pyrrho, she had work at Amazing Grains. And I was like, somebody who loves Payne's Gray as much as I do. I like her mark making, and I've heard you talk a couple times about mark making and repetition, and you're very generous with your guidance. So Pyrrho was one of them, and then Mary left. Good, we can talk about her.
I know.
And Mary has been instrumental in helping me be a better teacher and working with the kids without her patience. And I have said several times in the last few months that she took a little misfit kid and made her into a grown up. So, she should get a medal. I have attention deficit and I don't listen and I'm hyperactive. I swear too much for somebody who works with children, but so those two people, and really the whole community though, because even you, Nicole, I still remember meeting you at the museum and how you made me feel when I left. I don't really remember. I kind of remember things that we talked about, but I just remember how you made me feel and how you were encouraging. And there's been a lot of people, Laurel at the museum. She was very instrumental in that and very good at guiding me, whether I wanted it or not. So that, there's been a lot of people. The whole community has been very, I never planned on staying in Grand Forks, and if I hadn't met the people that I met, I would have moved away. But and I was thinking about moving away before I started working for the Children's Museum. I was just like, maybe it's time. And the universe said, I don't think so. And I was like, oh, okay, is that what we're doing? This is what we're doing, I guess, okay.
Well, so you're a perfect fit for you, and your interest in working with children and really fostering that sense of wonder, and then also working with the community and really building on those relationships, and also giving you a chance to
I get to play all day.
Yes, exactly.
How did I work on getting a job where I get to play? No, but thank you.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But yeah, it's perfect. It's the dream job.
Maybe Tara could enlighten me. What is mark making?
Oh,
It's pretty much what you do is you make marks on the canvas.
I was gonna make everybody do some drawing today, but
So
I stayed too long.
if you think about your painting, it is mark making
I
on
was gonna bring paper and make everyone make a mark. And I was like, I was gonna, but I stayed too long.
Something I encourage my students to do, and I teach lots of students who are non-art students, and so when in our talk about drawing, I encourage them to draw with non-art media, and so like take some spaghetti, use some chocolate, or whatever, just make marks and see what happens, and
Don't get mad that you left those things in your bag and they made marks all over the paper.
That's right.
And got
Make
moldy.
more marks.
Have you worked with blind contours at all?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do. That's almost every camp that I teach, if it's more than one day, I make the kids do that, and they think it's hilarious and fun, but it helps.
Yeah.
It does help.
It helps break away from, you're seeing something, right?
Yeah.
And then you think that your drawing should look like the thing that you're seeing. But
In fact, when I find myself those days where I'm like this at my table or whatever I'm working on, I make myself stand up, and I usually put it in my non-dominant hand, put myself around with it, because I have to, I get kind of like anxious and nervous in my body, and it shows. I can tell those days. Like, oh yeah, I can totally tell today was gonna be one of those days. But,
sometimes this is a revelation for me. Speaking of my students, right? So, like, one of my students commented that he didn't know that artists had to warm up.
That artist had what?
Had to warm up. And so what do you do to warm up? So I was just assumed everybody knew that, but he was like, I never thought of it that way.
When little kids ask me what my favorite sport is, I say art. Hello. You have to warm up. You have to turn your muscles. You have to practice.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
Be okay with putting yourself out there.
you can't be afraid of making a fool of yourself.
Yeah.
That's the key right there.
Right?
Yeah. What do I do to warm up? I don't know what I do to warm up. I'm sure there's something. I haven't thought about it. I just know that I have to show up every day.
Nice. Yeah.
Every day. Whether I want to or not. And there's days that you're really tired, especially when you have to do it after work. And then it's very for me it's not so much warming up, it's a ritual. It's too late at night now, so you can't have coffee, but you want a warm beverage, so you have to get your warm beverage. And then maybe I need a piece of gum because that's something, I don't know, nice. So, and also having a plan. I always leave it where I'm like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna try to work on this maybe, because there's the plan and then there's what happens.
Yeah,
But I kind of like to think, especially if I'm working on different things that are larger. Like right now, I'm working on this fence post. I'm in love with fence posts, and I don't know what I did the first time, but I painted it out and started over because I didn't like it. And I just know that when I go home today, that's what I'm going to work on. But maybe I won't work on that. Maybe I'll work on the grass. But I try to know where I'm going to go the next day.
Yeah. So having a plan.
Having a vague. We can't be too tight though.
That's
If
right.
it's too
So
tight, then I find
flexibility.
myself being like
Yes. Yeah.
in little. Yeah.
So I think maybe less than having a plan, maybe it's like having a vision.
Yeah.
Maybe like
Just
what
a
you-
direction.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna work on that, and I have to have it laid out, which I get really irritated when I have company or something and they have to clean up my studio.
Because your studio is your living space, right? So, or your living space is
I
your
don't have a
studio.
living room. I keep pushing the couch further and further. I'm gonna get rid of it because I don't sit on it. I'm like, I don't watch TV. I mean, I don't watch it. Why do I?
Yes. That's
You're gonna come over to my house. There is a chair that's painted on. Be careful and make sure the paint's dry. Because
Because when people come into your space, it's you.
I mean, it's everywhere. It's on the kitchen island. It's on the dining room table. Most of the time, the couch is piled with stuff that needs to go somewhere. Is coming from somewhere. And don't put. Because now I have kind of I have a big round kitchen table. Well, it used to be a dining room table. It is covered with paint now, and that's kind of like my workspace. And I was on a painting table because I have like little areas I work in, and I don't sit down a lot when I work. If I sit down, then I start to get fussy. But
It's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can't imagine not. I mean, I know people go like they just have studios they go to, but I like that. Also, when I'm tired, my bed's just over there.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, okay, it's bedtime, and then you get up and you go to work the next day. Thing, because also you can sneak in there too sometimes before work.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, Sheila, we're almost at time
Are we?
here.
Are
I
we at
wanted to make sure we give our audience here a chance to ask any other questions.
Okay.
Any thoughts you'd like to share or questions for Sheila?
It's been just lovely to hear yours, about your practice and what
This is
you
what I'm
do,
talking
and
about. She's just kind and nice. That's why I adore her.
Yep.
Yep. I love Period. She's great.
Oh.
Thank you, Period.
Well, how about some 3 cheers for sure? And Nicole.
Yay, Nicole. Thank you for making me talk about my artwork and making it not be horrible. It was so fun. I was excited. I was like, when you were like, I was looking forward to it, I was like, I was too, but kind of in a, let's just look at it, it'll be fine. Don't think about it.
Your work is great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing so much.
Yes. Yes.
And sharing of yourself here.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Carrie, how are you?
Good. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Nicole.